How do you go from hitting game-deciding shots alongside LeBron making millions of dollars to a homeless man in the streets?
They approached me with a gun.
This is Delonte West's story. Delonte Maurice West was born on July 26, 1983, in Washington, D.C. Growing up in a rough neighborhood, he had one of the toughest childhood in the NBA. He grew up in poverty, parents divorced, and he was constantly getting bullied for having red hair. For years, he felt like an outcast, and he struggled fitting in, making basketball his escape. From a young age, Delonte showed a natural talent for basketball. He found solace on the court, where he could escape the troubles of his everyday life. Basketball gave him his identity, his ego, and most of all, his happiness. But at the age of 12, Delonte suffered a significant injury that would prove to be a defining moment in his early life. He broke his leg while playing basketball. For a young Delonte who used basketball as both an escape and a means to express himself, this injury was a devastating setback. The doctors informed him that he would need to wear a cast for several months, which meant he would be sidelined from the game he loved during his critical development years. The injury not only affected Delonte physically, but also took a toll on his mental health. Already battling the challenges of growing up in a tough environment, the inability to play basketball, a source of solace and stability for him, exacerbated his struggles with depression. The absence of basketball in his life led to emotional distress and self-destructive behavior. During his recovery, his mom saw his struggles and thought that spending time with his dad would cheer his mood. But his father, who struggled with mental health issues himself, couldn't care less, which only exacerbated the situation. His new school was no different. Filled with kids of bad influence, West started hanging out with a delinquent crowd, and, by the age of 13, he experimented with alcohol and prescription drugs. It was only after his leg injury healed that he felt somewhat normal again, or just to distract his mind with basketball. The time he spent away from the court allowed him to reflect on his passion for the game and fueled his determination. When he recovered from the injury, he came back stronger. He dedicated himself to his rehabilitation, spending hours working on his physical therapy and finding ways to stay connected to the game. Moving to high school, he became a star player. West went to Eleanor Roosevelt High School in Greenbelt, Maryland. There, he led the Raiders to their first tournament appearance and made it to the Maryland for a championship, where he had 22 points and 8 rebounds, but the Raiders lost, 70-58. He was named Washington Post All-Met Basketball Player of the Year due to his averages of 20 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals per game. Plus, he scored double figures in all but one game his senior season. Bro dominated. In college, West took things to another level. During his junior year at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia, he formed what was widely regarded as the best backcourt in the country, along with Wooden and Naismith Award winner Jameer Nelson, averaging 19 points and 6 assists per game and shooting 41% from three-point range as a junior during the regular season. His efforts helped the Hawks to go 27-1 in the regular season and earn an Elite Eight appearance in the NCAA tournament. St. Joseph's finished the season at 30-2 record. And with that, he officially put his name on the map. West chose to leave St. Joe's after his junior campaign and was selected by the Boston Celtics as the 24th pick in the 2004 NBA draft. He was finally able to achieve his childhood dreams, but as quick as things went up for him, they began crumbling down. In his first season, he struggled with injuries, playing a total of just 39 games, mostly coming off the bench and averaged 5 points, 2 rebounds, and 7 assists per game. But after making the transition to point guard in his rookie season, he was named the starting point guard at the beginning of the 2005-2006 season by head coach Doc Rivers. In 2005-2006, he averaged 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. And on February 12, 2006, he was named to represent the Celtics on the sophomore team for the Rookie Challenge at NBA All-Star Weekend. Coincidentally, replacing his college teammate Jameer Nelson, who withdrew because of injuries. Delonte was moved to the shooting guard spot in the 2006-2007 season, but showed signs of difficulty early in the season, which led to him being later moved back to the point guard position. But He had some clutch shots, including a game-winning buzzer beater against the Charlotte Bobcats on November 2006, and a game-tying three-pointer with 4 seconds remaining in regulation to bring the game into overtime against the New Jersey Nets on March 2007, which the Celtics eventually won. And also, the next day against the Minnesota Timberwolves, West scored a career-high 31 points and made a career-high 12 free-throw shots in a double-overtime Celtics victory. West scored all 31 of his points in that game during the second half and the 2 overtimes. But by the end of the season, he was sharing starting minutes with Rajon Rondo. This would be short-lived, as on June 28, 2007, during the 2007 NBA draft, the Celtics would trade West to the Seattle Supersonics, where he averaged 7 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds in the 35 games that he played for the Seattle Supersonics. Now, Delonte's first few seasons in the NBA were anything but great, and no one really knew him. But it wasn't until the 2008 trade that the world would really get to know the name Delonte West for good and for bad. On February 21, 2008, West would be part of a 3-team trade that sent him to Cleveland Cavaliers, giving him the opportunity of a lifetime playing with LeBron James. He played in 26 regular season games, starting all 26, and averaged 10 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, and 1 steals. He also had a season-high 20 points, which he played against the Boston Celtics only 6 days after his trade to the Cavaliers, and a season-high 11 assists on March 30, 2008 against the Philadelphia 76ers. For the entire season, West played in 61 games, starting 31, and averaged 8 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. On April 2008, West had his moment in his NBA career with 5 seconds left in a playoff game against the Washington Wizards. His tie-breaking game winner took the Cleveland Cavaliers to a 3-1 lead in this first-round series, of which he averaged 11 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds in the 13 games. And he also scored 21 points in both Game 3 and Game 5 against the Boston Celtics. But his years with the Cavs would also be filled with controversies. Behind the scenes, he was struggling. His mental health issues began to resurface, which led to erratic behavior and conflicts within the team. This made the Cavs force him to take a break and talk to a doctor. In 2008, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, a condition that would greatly affect his life on and off the court. But in spite of all this, on September 2008, West signed a 3-year, $12.7 million contract with the Cavs and was moved to the starting shooting guard position at the beginning of the season, due to the acquisition of Mo Williams. He became a starter for the Cavs, who won a league best and franchise record 66 games during the regular season and went 39-2 at home. In addition to his role as the starting shooting guard, he also served as the backup point guard, manning the position when Mo Williams was not in the game. He emerged as a talented backcourt defensive player, guarding a variety of players ranging from the 6 feet 3 inches Ben Gordon to the 6 feet 10 inches Hedo Turkoglu. Offensively, he proved to be a capable outside shooter, with a field goal percentage of 46% and 40% on three-pointers, and maintained his reputation as an athletic and hard-nosed driver with the ball. West, Williams, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, and Anderson Varejao came together to form a supporting cast for franchise player LeBron James. Turned out, Delonte seemed to be doing pretty well for him in his franchise. On March 2, 2009, against the Miami Heat, West set a career high with 8 steals. In the playoffs, his averages shot up to nearly 14 points per game, despite struggling with his three-point shot. Further, the Cavs' lack of scoring punch on the bench forced West to take on extremely high minute loads. He averaged 42 minutes per game throughout the postseason, and in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Orlando Magic, which the Cavs lost in 6 games due in part to outside shooting struggles from West and his teammate William, he played over 45 minutes per game, more than any other player in the series. In addition to this, he drew the defensive assignment of Hedo Turkoglu, who had a 7-inch height advantage, to allow James to play the rover. West was able to stop Turkoglu's facilitation of the Magic offense in spurts, but the height advantage was too much, as Turkoglu helped to dominate the Cavalier defense throughout the series. West set a new career playoff high in points, with 22 in a losing effort in Game 6 against the Magic when the Cavs were eliminated. But as things seemed good for him on court, off court, not so much. You see, Delonte had a life that no one really knew about. On September 17, 2009, West was pulled over for a traffic violation while riding a three-wheeled motorcycle, during which it was found that West had a 9mm Beretta pistol, .357 Magnum, and a Remington 870 in a guitar case. 3 guns on him? Yeah, not a good picture, especially for a superstar like him. His name was in headlines everywhere and made people wonder what was going on really in his life. West could face a fine of $2,500 or up to a 3-year prison sentence on weapons charges. His trial was scheduled to be heard on February 18, 2010, but was postponed until July 21, 2010. On July 15, 2010, he pleaded guilty to the traffic and weapons charges and ended up getting a slap on the wrist, sentenced to electronic monitoring, unsupervised probation, and 40 hours of community service, as well as psychological counseling. The following season, things would get even worse. Not only for Delonte West, but also LeBron James. The Cavs went into the 2009-2010 playoffs with the best record in the NBA. LeBron was determined to get his first ring. But after going up 2-1 in the semis against Boston, the Cavs lost 3 straight games and got knocked out. LeBron went from an MVP player to disengaged. This sparked a series on Brontos meltdown, trying to figure out what happened, and something surfaced that no one saw coming. Delonte West was sleeping with LeBron's mom, allegedly. Rumors had it that LeBron found out West was hooking up with his mom before the game, and this completely threw him off his best form. The two became the biggest sport topic in the world. The Cavs decided to trade off West to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Ramon Sessions. But this wouldn't last, as a future draft pick made Minnesota waive West shortly after acquiring him. Luckily, on September 1, 2010, the Boston Celtics signed West to a 1-year contract to back up Rajon Rondo as a point guard, but was suspended for the first 10 games of the 2010-11 season following a guilty plea to weapons charges in Maryland. For his 2010-11 season, he finished with 6 points per game, 0 steals per game, and 3 assists per game. He also shot .867 from the free throw line. After his contract, the Celtics were not willing to extend it, so they dropped him. Luckily for him, one more team was willing to place a bet on him: the Dallas Mavericks. West signed with the Mavericks on December 13, 2011. During the 2011-12 season, and averaged 10 points per game. He re-signed with the Mavericks on July 26, 2012. But the NBA officially went on a lockout during the 2011 offseason due to player and owners not being able to reach an agreement, which meant no team could sign or trade players, players weren't allowed to use team facilities, and most of all, players were not getting paid. This meant Delonte would not be getting a consistent payment, and as it turned out, he hadn't been handling his paycheck well. Already, he could barely afford to maintain his $1 million mansion when he was getting paid. His situation got so bad that he had to go and get a job at Home Depot while being an NBA player. The lockout was one of the most difficult times in Delonte's life, but luckily it was short-lived. By January 2012, the NBA was back in session. After hitting rock bottom, West was given one last chance to turn things around and bounce back. And he did at first. Delonte proved he was still a solid player and being able to bring his points up to an average of 10 points per game in the 2011-2012 season. But his criminal record stained his image and prevented him from getting a place in Dallas and forced him to sleep in car and sometimes the Dallas locker room. Luckily, he had Mark Cuban, a guy who genuinely cared about his people. He went out his way to make sure that West got a place approved after finding out about his situation. But still, Delonte couldn't stay out of his own way. West got suspended indefinitely following an argument after a preseason loss on October 12, 2012. This did not last, as he was reinstated after one day, but just a few days later got suspended again on October 25th for the same reason after another preseason loss. On October 29, 2012, the Mavericks had had enough, and West was waived, officially marking the end of his NBA career. But he had to move on. For the following years, he tried building his career elsewhere. On January 25, 2013, West was acquired by the Texas Legends of the NBA D-League, and on March 16, 2013, made his debut for the Legends with 10 points in an 85-103 loss to the Santa Cruz Warriors. In October 2013, West signed a 1-year deal with Fujian Zhongxing of China. He then joined the Los Angeles Clippers for the 2014 NBA Summer League on July 2014. In September 2014, he signed a one-year deal with the Shanghai Sharks, returning to China for a second stint. However, he was released by the team on November 18th, after just 4 games, despite a 29-point debut game in the season opener on November 1st. On January 2015, West signed with Guaros de Lara of the Venezuelan Liga Profesional de Baloncesto, but left the team before playing in a game for them. On March 2015, he was reacquired by the Texas Legends and appeared for them against the Delaware 87 Einers in 19 minutes off the bench and recorded 10 points and 6 rebounds in a 122-119 loss. On April 2nd, he was waived by the Legends after suffering a season-ending injury. This marked the end of Delonte's basketball days and opened the doors for the darkest chapter of his life yet. He disappeared completely, and no one talked about him until these pictures went viral in 2016. A fan ran into West at the gas station and recognized him. He wanted a picture, but instead got a weird experience. It's clear just looking at these pictures that he wasn't on planet Earth. After that, Delonte would completely disappear again. No one knew about his whereabouts until January 2020, when a video surfaced online showing West in handcuffs on a Washington, D.C. highway.
Man, I walk down the street. The man approached me with an eye button with a
Where's his gun at?
I don't give
Okay. Do you know where his gun is?
I don't give a
Okay.
young champ.
At this point, it was clear that West needed help, but not much was done as he again disappeared. Delonte resurfaced again on September 2020 after photos circulated showing West as panhandling at an intersection in Dallas. Only this time, someone put an effort to see something was done. Texas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban picked up West from a gas station. Cuban paid for drug rehabilitation treatment and provided West a hotel room to stay in. On January 19, 2021, reports came in that West now had a job at the rehab facility where he checked in and had reunited with his mother. That might have been his last chance to redeem himself. The choice was his to make. In July 2022, new videos came to light, showing West begging, again, this time in Virginia, after being seen trying to enter a car that did not belong to him. He was booked on 4 misdemeanor charges, only to disappear again. On June 6, 2024, West was arrested in Fairfax County, Virginia, for violating the terms of his previous release and resisting arrest. He was found unresponsive by police officers after a brief chase and was administered Narcan. When that didn't have the desired effect, he was taken to a local hospital and administered a second dose, which did work. He was released after being charged. From an NBA player to being homeless, mental illness is hell, a battle we cannot fight on our own, and the first step to getting help is actually acknowledging that we need help. It's only through holding hands that we can save someone.